and welcome everybody to the Ballers Across the Pond. Week 8 is now in the... Is it week 8 in the books?
Yep. In the
this
books.
season is flying past, boys. And we had a bumper... we had a lot of action this week because all 32 teams were in action. And... trade deadline just passed a few hours ago. We've got a lot to discuss, boys. Well, Peter... how excited are you to discuss all of this? Because the amount of things that is happening all over, and Peter's always going to complain about the Eagles having, like Howie Roseman having around everyone's neck and, managing to trade for everyone. But
he wants to win. He wants to win, and he's setting a new precedent. I mean, we'll get into it later on, but have a look at the 49ers, and the move they've made, which we'll talk about. That's like the teams that want to win are making sure they're in the right position. They're understanding that it's a long season and they need to have these guys like Julio Jones got a TD this week for my Eagles. I forgot he was even on the roster. We'll get into it later on, but that's what I'm saying. So these acquisitions will pay dividends, but all you need is like a few big plays, hopefully in the playoffs. It can make a difference. It can be the difference between you going deeper or getting bumped out. So I'd say I'm surprised with the amount of movement that we've had and some of the acquisitions.
I'm not. Teams get desperate and teams want to start shifting pieces.
I'd say the sheer scale of the acquisitions, not necessarily that they are happening, but some teams are moving off guys.
They hinted at it. This. Obviously, the reports was that it's going to be a bit wild at the trade deadline this year around, and there have been hints about it. But listen, it's not about Howie trying to win. Yes, every GM your Eagles want to win, but he's just being greedy. Like, come on, like you got all these players on your roster, and you got Kevin Byard now, and you want to keep adding players to
greed.
it.
It's called depth.
No, it's called greed. And at some point, he got to realize that. Do the actual, hard work and pick up somebody else. Like, let other people have some pickers. Like, you already have the best D line and O lines in the league. What more do you need? Like, come on, bro. Let other people shop too.
Despite just about having that,
at least the linebackers are safe.
All right. So let's get on to the trade news, because there is a lot of it to discuss. So, Chase Young, no longer a Commander. He has been traded to the 49ers for a 2024 third round pick. Now, I think that's cheap, but the thing that's held him back is injuries, right? I think he's missed. They were saying he's missed about 40% of the games available to him through injury. So that will obviously have affected his trade value, because talent versus being able to stay on the field.
Yep. This is his third season, or is his second season?
This is his fourth.
Fourth.
So
I think they probably.
They're cutting the losses, right?
Yeah, I think because they were willing to sort of move him for like a third, tells me that they didn't plan on sort of extending him anyway.
Well, they declined the 5th-year option.
Yeah, he's shown flashes, but he hasn't been a dominant force. You know what I mean? Like, when you draft a guy that high, you expect him to be game-breaking every game he plays, or at least the majority of games, and we just haven't had that. But we have seen those moments where he actually looks like a game wrecker. So I think they're moving on.
So if we look at that first season that he had 7.5 sacks in 15 games, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 touchdown, right? 1 return run for a touchdown.
Yep.
Year 2, he had 1.5 sacks in 9 games. Year 3, he only played 2 or 3 games, obviously because of the injury, like we said, the injury problems that he's had. This year, he's played 7 games. He's got 5 sacks. Not forced a fumble.
Yep.
So whilst we know how talented and how dangerous of a player he is,
Mm-hmm.
did he need to have a change of scenery? The thing is, I don't know whether it's a change of scenery that will help him or whether it's a different defensive scheme.
I think it's having a defensive scheme.
And the reason why I say this, that defensive line for the Commanders was much vaunted, right? High level. 49ers is also high level. But they have, would you say, a bigger X factor because they've got Nick Bosa?
Yeah, Nick Bosa's gonna help. Plus, I also think like Steve Wilkes right now is their DC is sort of struggling. I've heard talks that this is like the first time Shanahan sat in defensive meetings, and he's like an offensive side, so he shouldn't really be there, but he's actually gone to defensive meetings to sort of say like, hey, what the hell's going on here? You know, we're giving up plays all the time. Something's not right. This is more sort of quality control. But yeah, no, I think change of scenery will help. Plus having sort of Bosa on the other side will also draw pass protection as well, so that's going to help. Yeah, he's not going to be going up against the number one left tackle on the team. He's most likely going up against the right tackle. You know, that's not really an issue for him. So we should see an increase in production. Of course, if he plays my Eagles, I mean, we have Lane Johnson on the other side, so that's not going to mean anything really.
But the thing is, they've got, was it Armstead, Hargrave?
Yep.
Like, you look at that D line now for the 49ers, and it's mean. But I don't think D line was a particular place that they really needed to bolster.
Yeah, it's probably depth. Like I said, rotation. You know, you want to get fresh bodies out there, rushing the passer. Not just that, but it's almost like an arms race. I think the 49ers feel as though they're gonna make it in,
especially against the, like, say for example, against the Eagles, where you're able to rotate so much.
Yeah.
So
it's a response.
Yeah,
it's a response,
and I can see that. All right, another
before you move on, this is something I saw, and I was going to bring everyone to talk about Chase Young, and I wonder how much this plays into it. And me personally, I hate when NFL teams or reporters do this because I don't know how transparent it is. So Michael Silver tweeted out that the reason why the Washington Commanders wanted to trade, were okay with doing this, is because Young, and I quote from Michael Silver, says Young, according to several Commanders coaches and other organizational sources, was viewed as an undisciplined player who would develop bad habits such as deviating from assignments in an effort to make splash plays.
That's not going to fly in the 49ers. So
no, it's not, because they're a serious team and everybody's accountable. So you would, I think, let's wait and see, because I feel like the 49ers made this move as like let's go for it type move. And are they really gonna pay him in the off season? Looking at the talent they've got over there, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Another lineman for the Commanders is gone. Montez Sweat. To the Bears.
Hard sell.
For a 2024 second-round pick.
Now, they got better compensation for Sweat.
A guy who wasn't going to be there after the season because Sweat was gone.
Yeah, I know, but I think, what do you call it? Young was drafted higher and was meant to be in a Myles Garrett type class or Bosa type class. Yet Montez Sweat, who I think he dropped in the draft due to like a...
Well, he was still in the first round. One was in the first round in 2019, one was in the first round in 2020, so...
But Young was a top 2 pick.
Top I know, correct.
Pick, so. I mean, when you look at it overall, it's kind of like, have they decided to tank in the middle of the season? Because that's kind of what it hints at.
Would you say that they're trying to reset? Not tank, just reset. They need to get as many people. They need to cash in because they know that they're not going to want these guys, so they're fully resetting. But that means I would expect Ron Rivera to be gone.
Oh, he most likely will be because
Ron Rivera is not going to be there.
It's
man.
true because it sounds like the new owner, Josh Harris and Magic Johnson, who are sort of like running the organization along with the appointed GMs and executives, want that reset, and they probably have. I have a feeling that they have a guy in mind that they want to bring in after the season because at this point, I don't think they believe Ron Rivera can steer them to the playoffs. Now, if Ron Rivera, I don't think it will happen, but if Ron Rivera was to somehow get them a wild card spot, and I don't think it will happen again. But what if that happens? Do you still fire the coach and go with your guy? I mean, teams have done it in the past, but do they still do that? Because it sounds like they'll, if Rivera will be on the way out, whilst they bring in their own guy, and will it be Harbour?
Oh yeah, no, that's right. That's right, Pete.
Or will it be the enemy?
That's also a good shout.
Yeah.
But would the
true.
optics look good though?
No, I don't think they move on from the enemy. But one thing I will say is
Would they promote the enemy to head coach? That's what I meant.
They could, but what would the optics be in the coaching circles though?
Well, that he's gone. No, he's gone to have an offense that is led by himself, and then he's been promoted because they wanted to change.
Yeah, but like,
that's how it is.
Did you come to take my job?
But that's how they know that how things work in the coaching circles, right? You go somewhere because you know that there's going to potentially be an opportunity. Yeah, you put yourself in the shop window. So there's no animosity if this happens. We're saying, all right. For the Bears, they've gained a player, but they're going nowhere.
Yep.
This is just putting sweat in the shop window because I don't think. I don't know whether he'll stay there beyond this year because we don't know
the Bears
have
always sort of really
it seems a lot. It seems a lot for a guy that.
No.
Yeah, the Bears have
might not be there beyond.
coveted defenders. So they always like overpay and they reach for defenders. That's almost like their MO. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're hoping that he can build.
He can still. I assume they're hoping he stays beyond the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna extend him, regardless of how he plays.
Right, because
you don't trade a second round pick. Yeah, but here's the thing: you don't trade a second round pick for a player without having plans to extend him. I think back to when the Cardinals traded for Hopkins, there was always the plan that we're gonna extend this contract at some point, and when the trade was done, within a week or two, he got that big extension. So when it's a second round trade, it means that they're gonna extend it.
Correct. And I would assume that to be the case. All right. More trades. We've got to get through them. Ezra Cleveland, offensive lineman from Minnesota to Jacksonville for a 6th rounder. Now, he was touted as being one of their more highly producing O-linemen. It gives the Jags a bit of depth O-line, so it's useful for them. Not a lot to really say on that specifically, but keeping on the defensive lineman, Big Cat, Leonard Williams, to the Seahawks for a 2024 second and a 2025 fifth.
Yeah, I think this is Pete Carroll sort of reaching back into his toolkit because I think when Leonard Williams came out of USC, Pete Carroll actually really liked him, but never got the chance to scoop him up. Obviously, I think it was the Jets that drafted him in head, but I think this is Pete Carroll finally getting the interior defensive lineman he always wanted. Granted, he is older, long in the tooth, but it's kind of like you're finally getting that sports car you really liked when you were a bit younger. You know, so yeah, Leonard
Do
Williams
you
I
know
think
them?
will fit well into this scheme.
Leonard Williams is 29.
Yeah, he's not like a sack artist. He's more of like disruption. You know, he's very good at that. He's really bendy. He was a part of that
He does
Jets
have that.
defense.
He does have 38.5 sacks. So he gets a few a season,
Yeah,
just not many.
yeah, which is hard for an interior defensive lineman. He was part of that Rex Ryan defense, and then obviously Salah's defense now as well. So he's been, you know, coached the right
No,
way.
because he was on the Giants, so he couldn't have been solid.
No, back when he was with the Jets. I think that was his first team.
Yeah, he was with the Jets up
was with
until
the Jets.
2019, so it wasn't quite.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
for the first 4 years, but yeah, I think it's a good pickup for the Seahawks because defensively it just gives them more pieces for them to like get at the quarterback, and you know he's an extremely disruptive player.
Yeah.
And that's what they pretty much need. All right. Any thoughts on that one from yourself, Peter, before I move on to the other ones?
Not really.
Contavious Street to Atlanta for a 6th rounder. I don't. Can somebody explain to me? So when these trades are happening, particularly with teams that are going like Atlanta, I don't think they're going to be making the playoffs. Are they trying to make the playoffs with this one, or is this just a depth piece for you guys?
It's probably just value, you know, for a 6th round.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot that they've given up.
It's not a lot, but what they're looking at is, can we get that kind? I mean, can we get that kind of talent in the 6th round? If it's like a yes, then perhaps they don't go for it. But if they're like, no, this guy can play like a 3rd rounder, you know, or like a late 2nd rounder, but we're getting him in exchange for a 6th. You know, it really just depends on how much you value your sort of draft process. Like if you know you can get value in the later rounds, then perhaps you're not going to give that away, you know. But I don't think Atlanta can do that because they haven't historically shown to do that. So that's why I don't think they really have a issue sort of acquiring this player.
Speaking of somebody who went for a 6th rounder, I think this is a steal for Detroit. Donovan Peoples-Jones, because he is that big-bodied receiver that I don't think they've quite got in their wide receiver core. If you look at how the Lions are, you've got Amon-Ra, who is unbelievable. You've got what's his name? Jameson, who is the speed guy. You've got a great tight end. You've got 2 very good running backs. They didn't have that guy who had that big body who could go and like high point it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that kind of rounds them out, and it just makes them whole in terms of an offense. So I think that's perfect for them, and they've only got him for a 6th rounder, so it's really, really good. It's really good value.
Good value.
Really cheap, yeah. No, that'll work well, and I think Detroit are knocking. And I think you're right. Like having like a really good red zone threat as well is only going to help them out. Possession
receiver, indeed. Rasul Douglas to Buffalo for a 3rd round pick. This is an interesting one because Buffalo have had a lot of injuries of late, so you expect that they needed some depth on the defensive side of the ball. Rasul Douglas had a great recent period, not this season particularly, but last season with the Packers. So obviously the Packers are trying to acquire as many picks as possible because Lord knows what's happening with that team because they don't seem to be playing well at all, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, more than the defensive side of the ball. Any thoughts about this one for Buffalo? Because I think it's a good depth piece as far as I'm concerned for their defense. Anything beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could turn out to be significant for them as well, but as well as it being good depth piece, because remember how I said they lost Tavarius White,
Yeah.
so it kind of has affected their cornerback room. So they just needed somebody, a seasoned vet, to come in and contribute to it. And Russell Douglas haven't been a bad cornerback the last couple of years. He's had very good, impressive PFF
Particularly
grades.
good. Was it last year? Last year was particularly good, wasn't he?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, if you give him a role, like, I think he's not one of those guys that can do multiple roles within the same game. But if you tell him go cover the outside receiver on the left, he'll do that all game. Go cover the outside receiver on the right, he'll do that all game. And he has a knack of also making plays and having interceptions. I like to think of it as like he's not making a play on the ball. I think the ball's just finding him.
But some players are magnetic.
Yeah, I think he's like a ball magnet. The ball somehow finds him.
Another player not traded, but playoff Lenny, Leonard Fournette, has ended up in Buffalo. So that just makes that running back picture a little bit murkier.
I hope he's in shape, though.
He's in A shape.
I think he's in A shape.
We don't know what the shape is.
Yeah, they just needed some kind of battering ram over there. I think they've got speed.
Well, they've got the battering. They've got a battering ram, and that name is Latavius.
What? Latavius Murray?
Yeah, he's been there, but he's been kind of their like power back.
Yeah, Latavius Murray's like a slasher. I think he can sort of do. He's not speed back, but he's got enough grace in his running style. Like I think, damn, what's his name? James Cook.
Obviously, he's a speed guy, correct?
He's a speed guy, but what they want is a blunt trauma runner. So it's going to be interesting to see if Leonard Fournette can sort of channel his inner LeGarrette Blunt and just become blunt force trauma runner, because he's definitely not an agile back anymore. And like I said, I don't think he'll be in shape either. So we shall see.
And last but not least, Joshua Dobbs traded to the Vikings. Now, we know the reason behind this because obviously Kirk Cousins got injured. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this means that obviously Kyler's fully back, I would assume. Or are you going to be blooding the other quarterback, Peter?
I think it means one or two things. If Kyler is truly back this week, and willing and ready to go, or he might feel like he needs another week. Then, because I know for a fact it means one or two things. Kyler is either playing this week, or he's definitely playing next week, because that's the last opportunity for him to play, as such. But I think what it means is that Kyler probably. I think I'm leaning towards he's back this week, and I think after Sunday, that trade was in the works, in terms of Dobbs to the Vikings. I'll probably say that they got this done very quickly. I mean, Josh Dobbs is a good serviceable backup, but he's not a long-term thing to build around it. He did his time. He did good things for Arizona, and I wish him all the best. He wasn't good, and he wasn't bad either. He was just average, and the costly mistakes, I think, is probably what led to them wanting to trade him away, and also plus them knowing that Kyler is coming back either this week or next week.
It just means they're just trying to get as much value for him as they possibly could, because they won't be getting any further value beyond this week, you'd say. All right. So now we're going to talk about a couple of guys who are held hostage. One particular man who was held hostage. We saw him last night in Monday Night Football for anybody who watched. And that is Davante Adams, because I feel sorry for him, because Jimmy G really cannot get him that ball. Because did you see some of the throws yesterday that Jimmy G missed?
Yeah.
He was wide open. I'm very thankful because I played against Davante Adams in fantasy this week, so thank you for missing.
So happy, yeah.
But back to reality. I feel really sorry for him because the Raiders are a really bad team.
Yeah, no, I think he took on that offer to go to the Raiders because he had his
Derek Carr.
college teammate Derek Carr. It was almost like they were sort of reuniting. So he
Then
was
gets
sold
shipped
on
out.
that, and then he gets shipped out within the same season, and I don't think he was informed about any of this stuff. And you'd like to think that, as their star receiver, you'd at least get like a heads up or something. So I think, he's a bit disgruntled. I think he's stuck around anyway,
He's got
to
to get
sort of
out
see
of
how
there,
things are
right?
panning out, but he wants to get out of there. I think it's only fair, but I've heard that
Beyond the
from
season, it's not going to
Rappaport that
happen.
it's
Yeah.
not going to happen. There's not a chance in hell.
How long's
I
his
think
contract?
terminology. I think it's what. Well, now it's 3 years from now. So initially it was 4.
Oh, I feel really sorry for him now.
Yeah, but like, I mean, this season he's trapped. But we'll see if they can take a hit. Perhaps if they decide to move on from him.
Positional payroll. No. Top salaries, right? Leaderboard.
He's frustrated. I don't sort of blame him because he views himself as like a top 3 guy, top 2 guy even. But the way he's been playing, in fact, no, the fact that he hasn't been able to get things thrown his way.
So there's a potential out end of next season.
Yeah.
It's
So
got
he's
one
still,
more year of suffering.
yeah, and that's just going to be painful for him. Unless they somehow bring in a QB, or I don't know, maybe Tom Brady will come out of ownership and then decide to play.
No, that's not happening. But all right. And the other thing that was rumored on was Derrick Henry. Apparently, a trade was agreed between the Ravens and the Titans, and the owner vetoed it.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a rumor. This is not confirmed. This is a rumor.
yeah, Tennessee kind of need the draft capital. They need the resources if they want to go into like a full rebuild. Or else Derrick Henry, he'll be there. He'll be a good back, but your team's not really going to go that far because you need a more three-dimensional attack. So, I mean, I think we all wanted to see the Ravens with a running back. Dobbs has always been injured. So he's no longer viable, I think, because I think he got hurt again this season. So it's just back-to-back seasons. So it would have been awesome to see. I think the owner's just fed up of being fleeced and seeing his players that were in-house go to other teams and play really, really well for them. So
what I would say is that he's a free agent at the end of the season, I believe.
Yep. I don't know what they're aiming to do by keeping him. Because I don't think he wants to re-sign. I don't think he wants to stay there. Derrick Henry hasn't shown the body language to say that he wants to leave, but I don't think he wants to stay.
Would you want to stay in that Tennessee Titans team?
No, I think he wants to go to a contender straight away. And like I said, the Ravens are in need of a running back. Everyone was saying it was either going to be Derrick or they were going to try and hotly pursue Saquon, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Indeed. All right. That was a long segment on the trade news for this, for the season. So, injury news, quick fire. Kirk Cousins, torn Achilles. Not the first quarterback to have that this season, and that is him done for the season. That is the Vikings season done.
Yep.
They won the game.
Yep. Well, it was the Packers who are floundering.
Well, did you see?
Their future looks bleak.
Before we get into the Vikings, I saw some all 22 footage of the Packers.
Yep.
And their O-linemen are just completely and utterly missing. They're just completely missing blocks. and no wonder Jordan Love is having a problem because it's not pretty.
Yeah, that's down to the coaching to sort of identify that and do something about it. Jordan Love's not playing well.
But
And
he's also he had, was it 7 or 8 drops this week?
yeah,
So it's not just he's not playing
good
well.
at all.
But
Yeah,
I think now I remember the stat. So Jordan Love has the most drops out of 30 qualifying quarterbacks, for a specific stat. And if you discount those drops, he is still the worst in pass completed percentage out of those 30.
that's not good at all. I mean, what's his percentage at? Is it
It is
60 and below? Because that's not good for an NFL
Um,
quarterback. You ideally want to be in the 70s.
if I look at Jordan Love, he's 57.7%.
It's
Oh,
trash.
bro, that's horrible. Bro,
Now-
they're college guys. You could literally pluck guys. Shador Sanders
Now-
could come to Shador to Green Bay.
Now that's what I was saying, right? He's the most dropped quarterback.
Terrible.
Yeah, he has the most amount of drops in the league, right? Like of balls that he's thrown, and yet still his pass completion percentage is really bad. So there are a multitude of problems in that team. But going back to the Vikings, I don't think they're good enough of a team to be able to survive this. Now, I feel sorry because Justin Jefferson's going to come back. They've got Jordan Addison, Jefferson. They're going to try and survive this season, aren't they? Well, they've just traded for Josh Dobbs, so they've done something to try and survive in the season.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But I would have seen, like I said, I would have taken Pete's approach and sort of see how the chips fall.
Well, they're going to be the rookie. What's it, 5th rounder quarterback? It's going to be starting this week. Yeah, so he's going to be starting this week.
Darren Hale, sorry. Is it Hale? No, Hall. Yeah.
So he's starting this week. And yeah, Jaron Hall. Yeah. He only had to do 4 pass attempts this week.
Oh, he's
so,
a BYU QB. I would laugh if he's better than Zach. I would laugh if this guy's better than Zach Wilson.
We're going to talk about Zach in a little bit, but yeah. So Kirk's injured, massive dampener on their season. Probably going to be ending it, but we hope he has a speedy recovery because he is one of the good guys in the league. He really is.
Yep.
And even despite having the injury, he was there today at the team facility hosting a Halloween event.
Yep.
He's had the most earth-shattering news, like he's going to be missing games for the first time in his career. Yeah. Yep. He's still out there showing his face.
Yep.
So I've got props to him because he in the face of adversity, he always shows up.
Yeah, I mean, we always poke fun at
Cousins.
At Kirk Cousins, but when it's all said and done, he's had a spectacular career. He's almost like the Carson Palmer of this generation. That's always sort of been there, but hanging around, a few playoff berths,
has flashes of good, but doesn't ever kind of get to the.
Yeah.
You did not compare Kirk Cousins to Carson Palmer.
No, all I'm saying he's got that sort of like he's this generation's Carson Palmer. So like obviously from 2000 to 2010 you had Carson Palmer, but he's this generation's, where he's kind of like, people have always been sort of saying he's not quite there, but he can hold a team together and he can win. Had marquee wins, Steady Eddie. He's had an awesome career. I was gonna make a really dark joke and say, what did he wear for his Halloween costume? I just came as myself.
Actually, do you know what it was? He was on this scooter where he was like one knee on the scooter because like that's how he was getting around, because obviously he couldn't actually walk, like he wasn't walking around.
Walk at all, yeah.
But Another injury to a quarterback. Matt Stafford's got a UCL sprain. Now, that is
What,
elbow.
UCL?
UCL's
Oh,
elbow
okay.
ligament.
UCL strain. Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, what is this? Another knee ligament that we haven't heard of?
No, it's an elbow ligament, and
That's on his throwing arm.
I think so.
Oh, I mean, he's already sort of going through things. He's had shoulder on his throwing arm.
He's battered and bruised back there.
He's falling apart.
So
Rams
that's
need
going to
to
have
look
an
to the
impact.
future.
Yeah, that's going to have an impact on the Rams. He's day to day, so we don't know whether he's going to be going this coming week. All right, let's get into the week 8 games. And we can't really start anywhere, but the shock of the week, right?
Drum roll.
The Broncos managed to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs looked bad in this game. Mahomes looked bad, and he was battling flu symptoms. Now, I don't think that's an excuse, because if you say you're fit and well to play, you are fit and well to play, and you roll with it.
Yeah,
It was cold, because they had a butt ton of snow, but
the Chiefs are starting to realize.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs are starting to realize that, like I said, when they moved on from Tyreek and Mecole Hardman, remember, Mecole Hardman's back now. You know, they did bring him back, but they need
he fumbled the ball.
weapons. Yep. They need perimeter weapons. Don't get me wrong. Like, Travis Kelce's amazing, but
do you know who?
Realizing
do you know who's been a bit of a problem? Sky Moore.
Sky Moore, yeah, he's underproduced.
Did you see the drop this week? That just completely went through his arms.
Yep. That's not good.
All these other guys that aren't named Travis Kelce need to show their worth.
Wilder Scantling. I mean, yeah. Jerick McKinnon, 11 yards. Noah Gray, 25. Sky Moore. Kadarius Toney. I mean, this guy, Butterfingers, start of the season, he's still not doing much. You know, I think he used up all of his juice last year in that one game. But yeah, no, it's just even Blake Bell, I think their tight end, didn't even show up on the stat sheet. So it's kind of like a second tight end, of course. But
Noah Gray, I would say, is the second tight end. Blake Bell's the third. Yeah.
He's their backup QB, Blake Bell, right? Former Oklahoma Sooner starting quarterback.
But if you look at Mahomes' pass completion percentage, 59% in this game. He lost a fumble.
Yep.
He was intercepted twice, sacked 3 times, didn't look good the entire game. And
you think this was just one of those weeks?
Russ didn't have to do anything to win this game. Yep. He threw the ball 19 times.
Yep. But that's the formula, right? For them heading forward.
What? Suck less than the opponent?
Yeah. We'll just hope the other team has like an absolute collapse.
But
Jerry Jeudy, 50 yards.
But Joe, no, so he had a
touchdown.
Yeah, he had a nice catch. Cortland Sutton had a really nice catch in this game.
Yeah, he did.
But if you look at Mahomes through 8 games, he's got 15 touchdowns. I want to see how many of those touchdowns are to Travis, though. 4. Travis got 4 touchdowns only on the season. 7 games. Because he missed one.
Yeah. I mean, if she who must not be named isn't in the game.
She wasn't there. They lost. They're 2-2.
She wasn't there. They lost. So I think they're tied at the hip. Travis, you can't break up with her now. You'll curse the team forever.
well, providing that they're actually together.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
because the conspiracy theories of this is a
marketing ploy. Yeah,
that's the conspiracy theory.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, Chiefs didn't look good. and now they'll be traveling to Germany for next week's game. So we're going to talk about that game later on. It's I've been underwhelmed by the offense this year, and I've been expecting a lot more. Now I was saying to the guys off prior to the. Actually, I was saying to Finn yesterday, I was like, the expectations were high, but that's because it's Patrick Mahomes. But they've not been firing. And he's not been firing anywhere near to the level that you expect.
Yeah. I mean, this can happen. Like, I'm going to sort of compare it to, like, Tom Brady. There was, like, a long gap, nearly a decade-long gap until they sort of won another Super Bowl. Because I think they got the first two, was it? Or the first
No, they
one?
got three.
They got three.
Of...
And then there was, like, a massive, almost nearly a decade gap until they sort of went there again.
I don't think this is going to be the case.
Before they won another one. Yeah, but all I'm saying is that it's hard. It's hard because talent's going to go on both sides of the ball, and you've almost got to retool. You know, Pat Mahomes is going to be in this league a long time. He's probably going to play with some of these players' kids. Like, that's how insane it's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, let's move on to our next subject of... I think this is my favourite underdog. Well, they're not an underdog team, but they're an underdog to me at the moment because they don't have their main quarterback. Can Zach Wilson lead the New York Jets to the playoffs? Peter?
They'll make the playoffs, but it won't be...
Can he lead them to the playoffs with him at quarterback?
Yes, because he has a strong defense with him. And as long as they keep the games close, as long as they're not conceding points early in the games, and the Jets defense is one of the top 5-10 NFL defenses this season. So I do believe that Zach will do it. They just have to keep the games close, rely on a heavy run game, give him simple throws. And last week, I was impressed with him. Like, they had 24 seconds to tie the game, and he did it. He got them to the field goal line.
Do you know,
after taking back-to-back sacks, by the way.
He took
a sack before.
But do you know the mad thing about him is, out of his rookie draft class, he has 4 game-winning drives.
So you see,
he has the most.
Yeah, which is outstanding, and you wouldn't think he would have that. So it's one of them ones whereby I think yes he can because of the just strong defense, and he's gonna lead them to the playoffs. Through the defense, he might win a playoff game. And then well, you're just gonna have to give him his props. You're gonna give him his flowers this year. You've been hating on my guy for a long time. You're gonna give him his flowers. Don't make that face. Give him his flowers.
All right, okay. So I'm going to read what someone wrote. Right, the Jets are 4-3, and could have easily been 5-2 if the refs hadn't bungled it against the Chiefs. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that this team is good. Now, if you look at this, there's a picture actually this week where all 5 linemen lost the snap, and he had 5 guys running at him. He wasn't helped by he wasn't helped by the O-line play, and they couldn't run the ball, so it turned into NFL punt zone this game, right? Both teams couldn't move the ball at all. It was raining, weather was poor, but if you look at the times that he actually dropped back, he played all right considering the poor weather and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He when the game was on the line, he did what needed to be done.
Made the plays,
and that's all the Jets have asked of him. All the Jets fans have asked of him, right?
Yeah. When it really matters, can you just make those throws to help us win the game? Like, if you look at the scoreline, the Jets defense, it's very hard for a team to score more than 20. it's probably going to be 15 on this team. So they're looking at it like, hey, we can get 24 points on the board, we're going to win. That's all we need. We don't need you to do any more push beyond. But that being said, are the Giants the worst team in football right now? I mean, that's an actual question that you actually have to ask. You know, obviously Tyrod Taylor. I mean, these numbers. These numbers.
He was injured, wasn't he? So
He
it was
was injured.
literally.
Yep. We're talking. I think they did a total of, what was it, 2, 4, 5, 6? Is it 6 attempts? Completions.
Mm-hmm.
6 completions. Tommy DeVito. So they had, was it
14?
7 yards completed? 7 yards completed in the game.
Yeah. This was bad.
Saquon
Something is not
Barkley
quite right.
run the ball 36 times.
36 times, because that's all they've got. Like, literally, like it's so bad right now. And I think, Brian Daboll is not happy at all, because he's there like, what the hell is going on? We gave the money to the wrong guy, and a lot of people say Brian Daboll co-signed it and said it was fine. I don't believe so. I think the market sort of dictated it, and now he's trapped. Everyone is like, Daboll's trapped. Like, he's a potentially a really good coach, but he's trapped in this team, which is why I was saying, Pete, he needs to pull a Bruce Arians. When you guys drafted Josh Rosen, he had one training camp, saw Josh and was like, nah, this ain't it. I'm not gonna spend 4 years trying
No,
to.
he wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. Like,
I know. I swear he was there when we
retired even
drafted.
before. No,
Josh
he
Rosen came in.
retired. The season that is that he retired, and then we drafted Josh Rosen. What would have kept him rather is that the year before, during the 2017 draft, when Mahomes was available at pick number 10,
Yeah.
Bruce Arians wanted us to trade up to go get him, but
Yeah.
the stupid GM at the time, Steve Keim, did not draft Mahomes. He chose to pick Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick is a good player, but you could have
had
because
Patrick
we could have had Patrick Mahomes because we were 13. Chiefs were 27.
Yeah.
So you let a team jump from 27 to 10 to take him.
Yeah.
And then that's why the following offseason he retired. Because I think Bruce Arians has always wanted a quarterback with a strong arm. And Mahomes had the strongest arm in his draft class. So that's one of those things.
Yeah.
But Daboll, here's the thing though. I always say this, Daboll doesn't have to retire in this circumstance because Daniel Jones is not a guy he drafted.
He's way too young to be retiring
anyway. Yeah, but I mean, maybe just take an absence of leave or whatever. I don't know. Just get out.
Basically, get out.
His ability's being wasted. His ability's being wasted on the New York, and they're trapped. They can't move from Daniel Jones. He's stuck there for the next.
Well, they can. I mean,
after year 2, maybe.
Yeah.
After year 2, so we're talking next year and the year after that. So third year in the contract.
I think they've only got they've got an out after next season.
Yeah. So that's still painful.
Okay, so here's the thing though. They went and gave this contract to Daniel Jones, which they shouldn't have. By my because here's the thing. They couldn't because they went to the playoffs and won the playoff games, and they think that wasn't because of Daniel Jones per se. But what I'm saying is that, okay, so let's say they don't win another game for
it was because of RB2 Daniel Jones.
Yes, they wanted the running back, but he can't play running back or
no, but you know what you know what I mean. You know what
I mean they paid $40 million for his running services. But what I'm saying is this though, like, what if they somehow magically end up with a top 3 pick, and let's say they have the first overall pick? Are they really gonna pass on Caleb Williams to play Daniel Jones?
Absolutely not.
You take Caleb Williams, bench Daniel Jones, give him his $40 million, let him sit on the bench, and Caleb Williams' money is not going to be a huge money anyway. So at this point in the season, if I'm the Jets, tank the season.
Wait a minute.
Go get.
But Caleb wants ownership, so I mean, Joe Mara's gonna. They're gonna have to talk. They're gonna have to talk.
Get out of here. He ain't getting. Well, do you know what, John Mara? Well, we can pay you in like shares, which is gonna amount to nothing before you realize that.
Yeah.
All right. Moving us on. Are the Cincinnati Bengals back?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they've kind of found their groove. I was going to sort of lean on the crutch and say the 49ers aren't quite the 49ers we know right now. But
No,
I'm going to put
but
respect. I'm going to put
I'm going to
respect
put the
on the
respect
Bengals.
on. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's going to be the case.
yeah, they've played really well these last couple of weeks. Joe Burrow's playing with confidence, and he's still not
28 for
100%.
32 in this game.
He just went typical Broadway Joe. So I think even with the injury, on his foot, he's still not 100%. But I think that he's sort of regained his groove. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jamar Chase went for 100 yards, a TD. He's back. T. Higgins played really well too, with
Tyler
some
Boyd
really
got a touchdown as well.
Exactly. So and obviously we had Joe Mixon on the ground. Didn't go for over 100, but he was still really productive. I haven't seen Joe Mixon look like that explosive in a long time. Like he's usually like one of those guys that is running
There or
fast but
thereabouts.
doesn't look like he's going anywhere. You know what I mean? But in this game he actually looked really explosive. So this is good to see. I think with how the Chiefs are right now, yeah, the Bengals are becoming a threat again. I mean, their season was like literally
Hanging by the balance, but I think what it
hanging by
was
the
is,
balance because if they lost a few more games, that would have
isn't
been it.
this what the Bengals do? They start slowly and they just get better and better throughout the
They
season.
get better and better. Yeah, yeah. But this is
So,
good to see. I'm happy.
All right, but 49ers.
Yeah.
3 games to slide.
Okay. I mean, I think that's why they went out and got Chase Young, because I feel like they feel like we need to catch up. They need to get their defense back to where it was by increasing the pass rush. Because I think over the past couple of games, I feel like maybe the GM was a little bit disappointed about the pass rush output, especially against the Bengals, who doesn't have the greatest of offensive lines and their pass rush were not getting home. So maybe
So,
adding Chase Young will boost that.
if we look at this game, right? So Purdy fumbled 1 and had 2 interceptions, and the interceptions weren't good. But he threw for 365 yards in this game.
Yes, but here's the thing, though. There's a critical point in that game. Just before he threw those 2 interceptions, he got hit hard and his head slammed onto the turf, and he sort of like touched his head again. So I don't think he was all there whilst he was still playing, that kind of thing. And I feel like they need to look into this, because I don't think he was ready to play that game against the Bengals. I kind of feel like they cleared him anyway, kind of thing.
Now, good thing is they've got a bye week this week, so he can't play this week.
Yeah.
So he has time to rest, recuperate, and get not seeing stars. If he is seeing stars. But 49ers no longer control the division, so they need to get back to winning ways when they come back. So, yeah, it's the one thing that we expected to happen in this game happened, and that was Christian McCaffrey. 17 games in a row with a touchdown. They call him Christian Anytime Touchdown McCaffrey because
this is like one of the best trades I've ever. I think since I started watching NFL football, this has been like
the best trade.
The best trade I've seen as far as the value, the results. He's just delivered, and it's insane to think what would have happened to him if he was still in Carolina. It just goes to show players and circumstances is huge. One player this is why I want to see Devontae go to like a good team, because I think he could take over the league. Imagine if he went to Kansas City, like they managed to somehow get him there. Wouldn't that be something?
Can you imagine the Raiders crying? That's never going to happen. They're going to have to release him.
He'll be out. Yeah, but that would be insane.
All right. Now, the NFC West is a confusing... It's not confused. It's a weird division at the moment. So we've had 3 games slide from the 49ers. We thought they were the most all-conquering team, the strongest team in the league. Now they're not. We've got the Seahawks, who are topping the division, kind of blowing hot, blowing cold week by week.
Yeah.
We don't know where they are. Rams, they've got injury to Stafford, potentially. They've got a great wide receiver duo. Got good defensive pieces. They're a young team.
Yep.
But
Perfect for building a new team.
But they're not. I don't think they're quite there yet. And then we've got the runt of the litter, who are the most consistent team in that division, and that is Peter's Cardinals, because they're consistently bad. Right?
Okay,
they play hard.
So
Play
here's
hard.
the thing.
Play hard, but lose.
But they lose.
Yeah, let me break it down with the NFC West standards currently. Okay, so Cardinals are consistently, but I wouldn't say it's consistently bad. It's consistently bad results, because when you watch the games up until fourth quarters, the game is always close. Like they play all the. If you can watch every
I would say
game they play.
I would say this week was a misnomer, because they were always like 2 touchdowns behind, and they kept on bringing it back to 1 touchdown. And
well, you need to watch the game, because we're 2 touchdowns behind, because Josh Dobbs threw 2 interceptions and they really scored 14 points of it. It was actually a 1-score game before it went to a 2-score game. So if he didn't throw those 2 interceptions, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm saying I don't put down the defense, I put down the offense.
No, I'm talking about the team. But that was the team. He was on the team, so therefore that is the team. Right? It's overall. I'm not saying the defense was bad. I'm just saying the whole team was not firing on all cylinders.
Well, the Cardinals are like what the Lions were a couple of years ago, where they were playing really hard, but they were still losing a lot of games until they were able to rebuild it back up to this point. Now, in terms of the NFC West, the current standings, the Seahawks are doing what the Seahawks do. They're trying to consistently win games. And so far, 5-2 is a good record. They have a great chance of making the playoffs. 49ers, they've had 3 losses on the bounce. I would say
they're going to bounce back.
They will bounce back, and they are still favorites to win the division, because and what is the one thing that Kyle Shanahan consistently does when the 49ers in years past have had a bit of a slump like this, is that he goes back to the bread and butter, which is what the run game. They become a run heavy team.
With we expect Debo to be back when they come back from the bye, so I expect their woes to kind of be gone by the time that happens.
So they'll go back to running the football. Yeah. The Rams, I don't see the Rams making the playoffs in essence that, yes, they'll have good offensive score lines here and there, but at 3-5, and they have a couple of tough games still coming up, I don't see it. They probably will have a good record, but maybe 9-8 or 8-9 type thing. But it's definitely the Seahawks and the 49ers. Now, what will be interesting is Seahawks and 49ers haven't played this year, so that kind of will determine who wins the division.
That will determine it indeed. All right, let's move on to Will's Eagles. Well, is AJ Brown carrying your team at the moment?
So
this is not a narrative. That's right. This is not a narrative that has been touted. This is just a thought that came in my head, because you keep talking about how great he's playing. So is he carrying them? Because the offense hasn't been amazing, but he has been.
I think Devontae and AJ are both really good receivers, but I think what's happening right now is Jalen Hurts is looking for a safety blanket, because even he's not 100%. And what's happening is whenever he's going to AJ's making the contested catches. So I think Devontae Smith can also do this, but obviously with the frame that AJ Brown has, he can kind of secure these passes. So I think that's what's happening. Jalen Hurts is getting to that point now where he's like, I'm not 100%, and I want to be able to complete these throws. If it's a hard throw into a tight window, I'm gonna throw it to AJ, because then I know he can complete these catches. That being said, like, if you look at the performance, what's there not to like? 319 yards, 4 touchdowns from Jalen Hurts, no interceptions, so fairly mistake-free football. even that being said, we were still behind fairly late into the game. I think it was the third quarter, and I was like, look,
both quarterbacks did all right in this game, right?
yeah. Shout out to Sam Howell. Like, he actually looked really good.
And if you look at, like, he spread that ball around. They threw the ball a lot. But
so
actually, like, if you look, they ran the ball well.
Yep.
Brian Robinson was good on the ground.
Yep.
Jahan Dotson had himself a game. Finally. Yep. He finally showed it, like, his worth. But him, James Crowder, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, they all got good numbers of catches and touchdown each.
Exactly.
So they played all right.
For me, that was why this game was so scary, because it wasn't like we were playing bad and Washington were sort of.
But do you know what I
Washington
realized?
Were playing good and we were playing okay.
But your D-line didn't get anywhere near Sam Howell in this game.
Yeah,
that was exactly what I was about to say. Your D-line didn't show up in this game.
Yeah,
which I don't understand.
Carter did, Jalen Carter did leave the game.
Take Jalen Carter out. Your D-line still have enough talent, even if you take him out.
Okay. All I'm saying is, when you've got those two interior, like, we can't get. Don't get me wrong. You know, we still have Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, and whatnot, so we still can get push up the middle, but it's not the same with Jalen Carter in that lineup.
How's it not the same? They were pushing the pocket last year when he was in college.
Pocket, but all I'm saying is that with Jalen Carter is different. It's different. He collapses the inside like that.
But you know? the more important isn't Jordan Davis like as important. But he's the one that he has the best win percentage.
Yeah. So he absorbs space. Jalen Carter gets the push up the field. And if you remember
what I saw in this game, right? So what I saw in this game was, Howell had a beautiful pocket the majority of the time.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what allowed him to be.
I know why. I know why.
Interior of the defensive line.
No, there's a particular reason why, and it's gonna drive you two mad. So I have a curse when it comes to Yahoo Fantasy Football. If I have a league on Yahoo, it is cursed. I will never do well. Now, who did I pick up this week? I picked up the Eagles defense. Who did I pick up this week? I picked up Kendrick Bourne. He tore an ACL. Who else do I have on that team? I have Justin Jefferson and Deebo Samuel. Sorry, whoever I'm going to pick up is going to get injured or they're going to play badly. So, Will, I've got to drop your Eagles defense because otherwise they're going to stink it up.
Yeah, I think you need to.
I have a slightly different theory here. Quick one. Do you guys miss Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis yet?
You know what, Gannon? I mean, we as Eagles fans, like, we weren't a fan of Gannon only because he didn't rush. Like, he played very base defense. He'd rush with 4. And he'd just have his linebackers sit back. So he was never.
You led the NFL in sacks last year when he was your DC. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But with our defensive front, that's gonna happen. So he didn't need to do that. But we feel as though, especially in those pivotal games, he should have sent more pressure. But that's neither here or there. Like, we do miss Gannon. You know, it's not.
Okay, all right, Peter. I'm gonna ask the question again. The leading question: is AJ Brown carrying the Eagles? Yes or no?
Okay, so here's my thing. He is carrying your offense, but which is not a huge concern, but your offense go find a balance. I say yes in the sense that Devonta Smith is equally as talented. But I'm starting to see
they found him on a big touchdown this week.
Yeah, they did. That's this week. I'm talking about the season up to this point so far in the whole. Yeah. Because when you have 2 number ones, what a quarterback has got to do a better job of is spreading the ball around. Because look at Matthew Stafford and the Rams. sometimes there's been a game this year. I think both Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua, they both went off. They both had 100 yards each. Can Jalen Hurts sort of like spread the ball around whether both wide receivers are in? Because I'm starting to see a little bit of an over reliance on AJ Brown. And what happens when he comes up against, let's say, a really good corner that kind of have his number a little bit on the day? What happens then?
Well, say for example, you get to the dance and they're playing the Dolphins and they come against Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, what happens then?
Or Devontae will have to step up, but I think it's.
But you
more
haven't been going to him all year, like you haven't been spreading the ball to him all year, so you haven't get him. Like you got to spread the ball around. Do a better job of it. Like Howard did. Howard spread the ball around all the receivers.
It starts with Jalen, though. It starts with Jalen. Like I think he's still not 100%. So we feel as though, like, perhaps because of that, because of his injury. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's healing from it. It's not really an injury, but he's just having to work through it. He feels more confident throwing the ball to AJ. Once that injury sort of subsides 100%, then I think we'll see him sort of move the ball around a lot more. Like Dallas Goedert's not getting throws. Julio Jones got in the end zone, which was actually really cool. Like I legit forgot he was on the team. and then as soon as he gets to like Julio Jones, I'm there like, what?
All right.
Hold on a second. Oh no. Oh yeah, that's right. He's on our team. So yeah.
All right, let's move on. Is Will Levis the future for the Titans? Because they had this game where they had a QB by committee game, which was the weirdest thing ever. But he had 4 touchdowns in this game, and also was extremely inaccurate.
Yeah.
He was not accurate. Like, if you look at the rest of his throws, the rest of them were
so
great. But
here's the thing:
he had some good splash plays.
Will Levis has a strong arm.
Yeah,
you know, I think everyone knew that going in. You know, he pumps the weight; it's effortless. Flicks the wrist, 60 yards down the field. His accuracy, though, leaves a lot to be desired. You know, and he's gonna realize that he's had a good game now, but I think, because there's no tape of him in the NFL, defenses haven't got like a lot of time to prepare. If you notice, a lot of his passes were like alley-oops. So they would be in the air for so long. They'd almost go up real high and then drop down.
What was
like,
it?
That's not going to work in the league. He'll get picked, you know?
There was, I think somebody broke it down. Like, it was a good performance. Good first performance, but there's a lot to there's still a lot of way to, there's a long way to go, because some of the like, if you look at the separation that D-Hop had,
he was
on those
a big reason.
Like, he had the whole field to himself.
If DeAndre Hopkins isn't on this team, if they don't have a receiver of that caliber on this team right now, this team is literally not going anywhere. So I think it's not a coincidence that D-Hop got all 3 of the touchdowns, 3 of the 4 touchdowns, 128 yards off 4 receptions. They're big plays, you know, which is vintage D-Hop. But I mean, after Malik Willis right now is just an asset, because like he can't even take a snap properly. You know, it's just not looking good for him. And I think as soon as that happened, they were like, okay, get this guy off. Even if Tannehill works his way back, I think you ride out Will Levis, because that's exactly how these guys learn, by playing in games. If he's healthy, let him play, let him learn.
Now, what I will say, it's going to be fun to see him against TJ Watt this week.
Okay, yeah.
That's a whole different prospect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
That's a whole different prospect when he's got TJ Watt coming for his butt.
I reckon he'll throw an interception this week as well.
Well, considering I want the Titans to lose every week, I hope so too. Keeping it with the AFC South, are the Jags the most sneaky team in the league? 6-2.
Yes, and to keep it short, yes, and also they're going to win the AFC South division.
Well, that is the most Michael Owen statement I've had from you, Peter.
Well, because I look at your division.
That is going to happen. That is going to happen. There's no contest in this division, right?
Yep, not at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
I mean, to boil line from football, it's in their hands. They're the only ones that can mess it up.
It would take a mother of all collapses for that to happen, and that the only way that happens is if the quarterback gets injured, which we don't hope on anybody.
I mean, they are a sneaky 6-2, man. That's nuts to think about it. They're just there, and everyone's going to be like, "What? How did you guys get?"
There's a reason behind it. So Trevor's not playing amazing. He's not playing bad, right? He's okay. His completion percentage is good, 68%, right?
Good, yeah.
9 touchdowns in 8 games. That's not good.
Yeah.
4 interceptions in 8 games. That's okay. The touchdown to the ratio is good. But you look at Travis Etienne, 3.9 yards per carry, which is below his average on the season, but he's already got 7 touchdowns on the ground. And he's 7 touchdowns in total. He's receiving the ball. Well, he's 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns on the ground and 1 in the air. But he's dangerous as a receiver. He's dangerous through the ground. He's a hell of a player, and he's to the level that we expected him to be. And we got robbed of that in his first season. So I think. That's a tremendous asset that they've got on the offensive side of the ball. And then Evan Ingram is finally showing what he's capable of. Because this game was a wet weather game. Completely and utterly, it was disgusting in Pittsburgh. And terrible towels were out, and they went in there, and they won that game. So, yeah, they're very sneaky. But can they go deep in the playoffs with this team?
Yeah, I mean, they've got all the weapons that they need, obviously with Etienne, but then they've also got, obviously, Evan, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk. They've actually got some weapons on that offensive side of the ball, and their defense is playing respectively, not amazing,
Well,
but
Josh
they
Allen
can
had
do
2
enough.
sacks in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those, the defensive Josh Allen. I remember when they were on the same team.
Not the same team, they're in the same game.
Josh Allen sacked him.
Yeah, Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, yeah. Yeah, but no. So I think they're one of those teams that can go far, but their defense needs to improve because that's gonna be the difference maker. Just think, if these guys had a top 10 defense, we'd be talking.
Well, do they have a top 10 defense? That's a key question. Where do they rank?
I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Yeah, that record kind of seems like they would. Because if they had a top 10 defense, then yeah, they can go far.
Right. So they've played. This season they played the Colts twice, Texans, Chiefs, Falcons, Bills, Saints, Steelers. So Steelers don't have an offense. Saints don't have an offense. My Colts, they've just got some hijinks over us. Bills are given props against, and Chiefs are given props against. Well, they lost to the Chiefs. So at the moment, I need to see what they do against the 49ers. So they've got the 49ers, they've got the Bengals, against that Browns defense, against the Ravens. Let's see what the second half of the season, they've got some big games in the second half of the season. Let's see how they turn up in those games, because those are the games which will define this season. They're going to make the playoffs, we know that, but it's a matter of seeing where they are coming towards the playoff starts. All right, baller of the week.
Very biased.
Peter, I'm gonna before I get to the bias, for the non-biased, well, kind of semi-biased because he always goes defensive. Peter, who's your ball of the week?
I don't always go defensive, but hey,
I know.
I gotta shout out my guys. So my ball of the week is Kayvon Thibodeau. Defensive and outside linebacker, edge rusher for the New York Giants. He showed up big this week, 3 sacks, had a couple of tackle for losses. He absolutely balled out, and I'm pretty sure he's probably gonna win NFC defensive player of the week. He showed up. I hope this is like the 10 in the corner, and he can join some of these elite guys in the league. And he got calm down the critics because that's what's gonna happen.
He's gonna have plenty of opportunity to play well because that Giants offense can't stay on the field, so he's gonna have plenty of snaps to get it done. But yeah, he had himself a great week despite the chastening loss to the New York Jets. My baller of the week played last night. He had himself a breakout game as a rookie. Jahmyr Gibbs. Boy, that guy is fast. He had himself a week. I was sat watching the game with Ben, and he had 26 carries for 152 yards and a touchdown, 5 receptions for 37 yards, 31 touches, 6.1 yards a touch, 189 yards from scrimmage. Now, they were saying that he couldn't handle the load. He can't do this. He can't do that. Oh, yeah, he can. And he fast. He is so good. My honourable mention, because I know that this is not Will's baller of the week, is going to be CD Lamb, because he took over that game. He was the reason why the Cowboys were so dominant over the Rams. He completely and utterly decimated them.
Yep.
So that's an honourable mention for myself. And he was the leading receiver on the week in terms of yardage. But Will, who is your baller of the week? I think we've talked about him before.
Yeah. No surprise here. It's AJ Brown. Monster of a game. You know, that's sort of how he's been these last 2 weeks. But in this game, obviously, 2 touchdowns, 130 yards. He just continues to sort of gobble up the field, catches everything that's thrown his way. He had like a slow start at the start of the season, but this week, as it is ball of the week, it's got to be him. I know I'm an Eagles fan as well, but I'm not gonna sort of miss an opportunity to sort of not give my own guy his dues. So he's earned it.
He certainly has, and he even had a segment dedicated to him. All right, but there is one other honourable mention, and that is Mr. Thomas Morstead. Punters are people too. 3 punts down inside the 5 for the first time in Jets history. Now, it was NFL punt zone at the Meadowlands, and he... I think I was seeing, was it on Twitter, like, people were talking about punters. Like, everyone was like, who is this guy? He's just, like, he's completely nailing it all the way, you know, down, like, pinning them deep all the time in this game. I was like, he's been in the league for so long. And the fact is that sometimes, you know, these less fashion guys get a little bit of attention because when they get in and they do their job and they keep doing their job really well because it's a scrappy game like it is. Hey, props to him. And even the Jets Twitter account had a bit of fun because they renamed it, saying they were the New York Jets brackets Thomas Morstead fan account. With a bit of fun. All right, play of the week. Well, are you doubling down?
Yeah, I am. It was an awesome play. Like, you can't deny it. Not only did he beat his man, all right, but his man was also right on top of him.
It was
This could have easy.
Wasn't it?
It was a one-handed catch. Yeah, one-handed catch. both feet inbounds, and we're talking at like half a yard of real estate there. So he actually caught the ball like with his hand out of bounds, brought it back in, and then managed to get both feet inbounds while being tackled.
It is my
While
player
being
of the week
tackled.
too.
Yeah.
My honourable mention though is one against Peter's team, and it wasn't even like featured on like the the most razzle dazzle plays of the week, but it's this one by Lamar where he's trying to get the ball to Mark Andrews. It's not there, and then he kind of goes on one leg and slings it around the defender to Mark Andrews, who's just sitting there waiting for it.
Yeah.
It's just this. It was an homage to his actual passing craft, because if Mahomes had done that, the world would have been going crazy.
Would have been like, oh my god, only Mahomes can make this throw. Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes only, but no, Lamar can do it too.
Lamar can do it, and I want to give him his props for that. Peter, who's your player of the week?
You mean player of the week?
Yeah, play of the week. What is your player of the week?
Trey McBride, the tush push touchdown, but I think this is quite different because it's kind of like the whole offense helped him score that touchdown. That was a beautiful moment to see. He caught the ball, they couldn't stop his forward momentum, and the right tackle, left guard, the whole offense pushed him in.
That touchdown cost me $5.
Well, you should have picked Trey McBride on your fantasy team, innit?
Yeah, because I entered I don't bet myself, but I entered a free contest, and I was on 10, and I was in the top 10, so I was getting $10 in this listener league that I was in. Shout out to Nat Coombs of the Nat Coombs show. Obviously, he does that league, and Trey McBride just kept on getting fed the ball in that game. Because he was getting fed the ball a fair amount. He had himself a really good game. He had himself a really good play. All right, week 9 preview now. We've got to talk about the Germany game. First of all, it's a big one. Chiefs Dolphins. Tyreek taking on the Chiefs.
Well, that's going to be an interesting one. Like, this
Dolphins
might be
are
one
the
of the
favourites
games.
in this, right?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think especially with how the Chiefs have been playing, I think you kind of, out of respect for the Dolphins and how the teams have been playing, I think they have to be. If you would have asked me this like at the start of the season, even at the halfway point in the first bye, it would have been the Chiefs. But now the Dolphins are playing really well.
At the moment, Chiefs are favourites. Be right.
Wow, yeah, that's not right.
They're both 6-2.
Yeah.
I would say the Dolphins is favourite. Peter, who do you think are favourites in this one? Because it was split. I know we're splitting hairs, but I think So the Dolphins have the best offense in the league. Kansas City had the 12th best offense in the league.
Okay, so by that metric, you would think the Dolphins is favored in the game, but I'm guessing why the Chiefs are favored is because
they're the second best defense in the league.
What, Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, they have the second best points per game out.
Exactly. So to be the king, you gotta beat the king, isn't it? So it's kind of like the Chiefs are also relying on historical performances that puts them in that standing.
Can I caveat this? So they play the Chargers. They always beat the Chargers. They always just somehow manage to win it. Like, because Kelsey owns the Chargers, they beat them, right?
Yep.
They play the Broncos at home, and the Broncos aren't going to win every single game against them, right? Mm-hmm. Generally, they had this ridiculous record against teams in their division. Beat the Vikings by a touchdown. They just about beat the Jets with Zach Wilson.
Yep.
And they let them score 20 points. They played the Bears, hapless. And they had a very low-scoring game against the Jags. What do you think is gonna? So, if this game becomes a high-scoring game, do you think the Chiefs are capable of keeping up? Because they haven't. So they've scored a large number of points against only one team in this. Like they've broken 30 twice, and they've broken. They've more than 31 points once.
I don't think with the consistency they've been having on offense, like lack of consistency, I don't think that's the case, and I think that's the only thing holding them back, in my opinion. Like I think if those balls are caught, and that Pat's able to get like more completions down the field, then it could equalize. But like I said, the Dolphins' defense is serviceable. Plus, they can score a lot of points offensively, and they're definitely not having issues with how things are going offensively.
Generally, they're not having issues at all, and it's going to be fun to see Tyreek go up against his former team. But I look at Kansas City's schedule, right? Miami this week, they've got a bye week, then they've got the Eagles. So we can have a Super Bowl rematch. Then they've got the Raiders, Packers. You expect them to win both. Then they've got the Bills. Then they travel to the Patriots. You expect them to beat the Patriots, but the Patriots are a weird team where they can make that game scrappy, right?
Yeah, division. Yeah.
No, it's not a divisional game, but it's just like no, because AFC West.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not I'm talking about the Chiefs, and then they still have the Bengals at the end of the season, like towards the end of the season to play. So they've got Bengals, Bills, Eagles, Dolphins still to play, and they've already lost 2 games this season. So they're not. They could well lose all 4. But I don't think they will lose all 4. They will win at least one of those games. But it's going to be fun to see how they go through this like stretch of harder games. They're not going to be the all-conquering Kansas City. We don't expect them to be the all-conquering Kansas City Chiefs of the past. Do we even want to try and predict who's going to win this one?
It's such a tough matchup. With the Chiefs favored. Although, who are the 2 teams the Chiefs? The Dolphins lost to this season.
The Dolphins have lost to the Bills and the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. So I think it might come down to
the defense. How the defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs basically because historically they rise up for these type of games, playing against top sides. They tend to show up, and also the Dolphins. Their 2 matchups against the matchup against the Bills in that game. The
defense
Dolphins
prevailed. Yeah,
was flat, but though having Aaron Ramsey back is also a factor. But I'll go with the Chiefs. Once the Dolphins do it, then next matchup I'll have a think about it.
You just slipped an accidental Arsenal reference in there, and I found it great because you know exactly what I was saying. Jalen Ramsey, not Jacob Ramsey, because Jacob Ramsey plays faster. Jalen Ramsey, because he said Aaron. Yeah, I think I don't know where. I'm not going to even try and predict on it, but let's move on to another great game in this slate. Bills Bengals.
Yeah,
so much.
It's going to be an interesting game.
It's going to be an emotional game.
Yeah, it's true. But I feel. Yeah, no.
Come on, pin the tail on the donkey.
Bengals.
Bengals are favourites.
Yep. How it was flipped. Like if you'd asked that like a week ago.
3-point favourites.
Yeah.
Now, you know when we were saying how can the Bills fix themselves? We said this, but and then they showed a little blueprint last week where went tempo. They introduced a little bit of urgency in their game, right? They didn't They went into no huddle offense, to try and get a bit of rhythm going.
Yeah.
They need to carry on and do this. But can they do it against Cincinnati, who... Those two ends, Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard, are just playing really well, and it'll be interesting to see how they do against the offensive line of Buffalo.
Yeah, and Cincinnati, right now, offensively, have found their groove as well. So if they can score early, I think they might run away with it. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to be that close as well. I think if the Bengals win, I reckon they're at least 10 points ahead, 10 points over.
So you're calling this could be nowhere near as... I think it's going to be a close game all the way to the end.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got this sneaky feeling that that's going to happen. Peter, any thoughts on this one?
It's such a tough game, and I think, well, my only person is who needs to win more. And judging by their records, it sounds like the Bengals need to win more, more than anything. So I hope the Bengals show up, because if they don't and they lose to the Buffalo Bills, it starts kind of like increasing the odds of them making the playoffs.
Yep.
So Bengals go win this one.
The reason why I say, so if you look at the playoff picture, at the moment the Bengals aren't in; they're on the outside looking in. But then the teams that are in are the Steelers and the Browns, and they're terrible.
Yep.
Both of them.
That'll even itself out, trust me.
So, do you know what the really weird thing is? You look at this AFC playoff standings. You've got the bottom is Patriots, Broncos, Raiders, Colts, Chargers, Titans, Texans. None of those teams are making the playoffs. As far as I'm concerned. Right? No chance.
Yeah.
So, fighting for 3 spots are the Bills, the Steelers, the Browns, the Jets, and the Bengals. Now, I think it's going to be the Bills, the Jets, and the Bengals.
Yep.
Potentially, because Jets have probably the best defense.
Best defense.
I think the Browns are fighting with. They're kind of doing the same thing, right? Defense is winning in games, but
let's do it better.
Even the Steelers are as well. That's really winning. The 3 teams are just getting in because of the defensive play rather than anything else. But it's an interesting one.
It's the Bengals that can actually score though. So
yeah, it's the Bengals that can actually score. So that will propel them up through the rankings. Speaking of big matchups, Cowboys Eagles. Well,
so if we go by the pattern, Dallas usually blow a team away, and then the next game they play bad anyway. So this is purely based on what we've seen in the past. Like I said, it's like a firm pattern we've seen. So whenever they play like a bad team, they can put those teams away. If they play a mediocre team, it's always a bit of a struggle. But if they play a good team, they're not going to play very well. That being said,
the Cardinals, are they a good team then?
I don't know. You have to ask Pete for that one.
No, it's because they beat them. That's the only reason why I'm saying this.
Yeah.
But
but what I'm saying here is that I think, especially if it's like an in-division game, you've almost got to throw out all kinds of logic. This is going to be a punch-up, but I'm just hoping that the physicality of my Eagles is going to help us through all 4 quarters. Dallas can play well, but I feel as though they can't maintain a high level for four quarters.
I think a really important thing is if you stop Tony Pollard from running this ball,
yep,
then It's going to have to be on the shoulders of Dak, throwing the ball a ridiculous amount,
Yep. And we all know what
predominantly to
happened.
CD Lamb.
Yep. Oh, but they moved CD Lamb around now, because whereas before they had him in one position, now they're saying, "Damn, let's just get this guy the ball in space." So they've been moving him around.
Who
But
would have
X,
thought you get your top level wide receiver, move him to the best spot possible for that specific play rather than having him in the same spot every time?
exactly. He's really good with yak yards as well. And it makes sense. You know, it sort of creates a mismatch because you kind of need like a number one corner, but then when you have him lined up against the linebacker, you know, it can cause a problem. But we're hoping Dak, if we're able to get some pressure on Dak, we might be able to force him to start, you know, turning over the ball, maybe throwing it a bit too early. We want to overload Dak with information because that's usually when he starts to struggle. If he can't see the field clearly,
he's been
it's going to be
sacked
harder.
17 times this season in 7 games.
That's a lot. What's his interceptions right now? How many turnovers? He's definitely gone over half.
No,
Oh.
he's half. He's at half.
He's at half, yeah. All right.
I don't know, but no. He let me have a look. He hasn't fumbled the ball, so yeah, he's at half.
Yeah.
5
Okay.
interceptions, 10 touchdowns.
Yeah. But I'm gonna have to go with my Eagles here. I can't vote against them, especially if it's Dallas. Like, it's just one of those games where I would gladly, like, if you ask most Eagle fans, we would gladly
Although-
scrape into the playoffs as long as we beat
I
Dallas.
will say that 4 of the touchdowns came last week. So the other 6 games, there were 6 touchdowns.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was like feast or famine.
Mm.
I can't see anywhere but the Eagles, but it's going to be. You're going to have to probably play Smash Mouth in this one.
Yeah.
Run the ball at Micah Parsons.
Yep. I think that's what we're gonna do.
But you couldn't run the ball very well last week.
Yeah, I think DeAndre, if he can get going early, like we have to commit to the run. What makes it harder for us obviously is that we're not running Jalen right now. Like he's not a heavy ball carrier, so it's gonna be a little bit harder. But if we can stay balanced on the offense, I don't see a reason why we can't win this game.
All right, Peter, Seahawks Ravens. This is an interesting matchup because it's Seahawks winning their division, Ravens winning their division.
It's a very interesting matchup. In terms of both teams and stylistically, both teams like to run the football. So it'll be interesting, especially if the Seahawks are going to play Leonard Williams immediately, and can he help them
this to be the case, right?
in their run defense? That's yeah. You know, but it is a very tough matchup. But I would say the difference would be Lamar. I feel like Lamar is playing well right now. And I think he probably will be the difference when they play, because I think Lamar's talent is higher than Geno's, certainly higher than Geno's, and I think.
So the Ravens are 6-point favorites. I think a big thing is this game is in Baltimore. It's not in Seattle.
Oh yes.
So
the crowd and everything will get them going. So I believe they will. They probably will.
And the Ravens have the best defense in the league in terms of points allowed per game.
This could be the year.
I don't think offensively they've got enough.
I think they haven't.
Ravens or Seahawks.
They haven't been.
The Ravens, I don't think they've got enough for it to be their year.
Well, in terms of taking it to the ball.
Yeah, taking it to the ball. The run game's strong, but not strong enough. And the pass game is getting better, but it's still not like top receiver in their top receiver is Zay Flowers on 461 yards after.
He shouldn't be, considering
after 8 games, like
whatnot.
Yeah, it's okay. the defensive side is carrying them so far. Final game for us to look at: Jets Chargers. So Chargers blow hot, blow cold. More cold than hot. This is the Monday night game. This is at MetLife, though. Chargers are favourites, but Chargers have a worse record, but are favourites. But then the Jets, under the bright lights, with that defence, can they cause another choke?
I think they can. Like, I never thought I'd be picking the Jets over the Chargers. But this is only because of how they're playing football. Like, they don't need to sort of blow the other team out of the water. They just need to run the ball, get to 20 points, get to 24 points, and play defense. If they do that, they'll win. They'll win all their games, because I don't think there's a team. There's a lot of teams that
they'll win all their games.
No, I'm saying if they follow that formula.
There's one key to this game, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
If Austin Eckler has a really good game on the ground against the Jets, then it's a problem. Jets are 31st in the league against the run, but I think that's because everyone runs the ball so much against them because they can't get anywhere in the passing game. Like, they're locked down in the passing game, so they have to run the ball.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
Sauce is still injured, right? Sauce Gardner, he's still out. I think he's still out.
He had a. Yeah, it was. He was full participant in this last week, so I think he played.
Okay.
Yeah, the O-line's got to play better against from that side of the ball. Becton even said it. He said, "I've got to do better," because there were times that you could see on the tape that he lost his snaps, and it caused a whole world of problems for Zach. Now, we've seen that if Zach gets time, he is a very capable. Most of these guys, he can make throws, right?
Yeah.
He's got bad completion percentage, but the offensive line isn't been helping. And he's got players who can catch the ball, who can move the ball down the field. He's got Breece Hall in running back. He's got Garrett Wilson.
Got those guys in place. Yeah, Garrett Wilson.
Can I say the Jets are going to win? Can I say the Jets are going to win this one?
It sounds nuts, but like I said,
they're capable.
I'm picking the Jets. Yeah,
they are capable. But I don't know whether they absolutely will win this one. We'll have to see on Monday night and find out. But there we have it. Peter, Will, managed to get through all those topics. Can't believe how many topics we managed to get through.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. And bye weeks are now back, obviously, because we had a mini hiatus of bye weeks because we had all 32 teams in action last week. But it's goodbye from myself. Goodbye from Peter to my right. Will further to the right.
Yep. And
we will catch everybody next week on next week's rundown. Until then, goodbye.